Are you sick of not reaching your revenue goals? Well, stop the scroll and listen up for a second because I want to share with you one of the secrets to meeting your revenue goals. All right, so hi, I'm Cheryl Texera, and I am the owner of the Scrum Shop. You can find us at thescrumshop.com and be sure to grab some of our free workbooks at thescrumshop.com/workbooks. And in there, you will find this month's workbook that is all about reaching your revenue goals. And those revenue goals are super important, but the thing is that they have to be realistic in order for you to reach them. Not only do the revenue goals themselves need to be realistic, and I'm talking, you probably hear the 10K promise everywhere, right? 10K a month, 100K a year, six-figure years or whatever. But that may not even be a realistic number, because if you start thinking about it, when you start pulling out the money you need to pay for taxes and then the money you need to pay for simply the operations and building and all of your costs, everything like that, what's left over may not be that much. It may not be enough to actually change your life and make your business worthwhile. Because here's the thing, is we're not trying to build a low-paying job for ourselves, right? We're trying to build a business that's going to change our lives. And that's what I want for you. And so one of the ways that you can set up your realistic revenue goals is to also make sure that you're creating realistic timelines in order for you to reach those goals. Like, it's 6/15, June 15th right now when I'm recording this. And when you make a revenue goal for July and you've never made money ever, and you don't have an event planned or anything planned, to say you're going to make a 10K month in July is probably unrealistic, right? Not only is it because you don't have a plan to back it up, which is a pet peeve of mine, but also that you haven't set a realistic timeline for yourself. So the first thing that you want to be able to do in order to create a realistic timeline is start looking at the work that you need to do in order to generate that kind of revenue. And when you get that project work in place and you know exactly what you need to do, that's when you want to start applying some of these project management principles to your work, like creating estimates. Estimates for when you can start estimating your tasks and how long things will take, that is going to help you enormously in setting a timeline. And notice I didn't say a deadline, because deadlines are just like that wish, right? This is when I want it. That's what normal bosses do, right? This is when I want it. I don't care what's going on. But that's not even realistic. It's just some number pulled out of the sky, and you won't even honor that. You'll just ignore that type of a deadline, because in your head it's not realistic. It's just some date you're pushing for, right? You're shooting for, like, maybe it'll happen, but chances are it won't. But if you start creating estimates and start looking at how long it's going to take you to get something done, then you can create a timeline. But you also need to ensure that you are looking at, like, this project, right? This project is going to create these types of revenue goals, and I have to implement that project, but I have all my day-to-day work to do as well. I have to meet with clients. I got to create content. I have all these things I have to do. I have, fulfillment issues, customer service issues, whatever it is, right? So you want to make sure that you're not just planning out your whole week with the expectation that you're going to work on your project for the entire time. Instead, you want to look at the time that you need and the quality of that time. And you can get that workbook if you really need to learn more about how to manage the quality of your time and leverage that time. You can grab that on the workbooks page as well on my website, scrumshop.com/workbooks. It's the take charge of your time, 10 minutes to time management, better time management. Anyway, so if you create that timeline, then you can start making sure that you create a timeline that's based on the number of hours that you can work on your project, right? And then you can start prioritizing those items. And how do we prioritize in the Scrum world? Must have, should have, could have, and won't have at this time. So the idea here is the very first time you do it is you create that minimum viable product, right? Whatever you need is the bare minimum. If you have spare time and you want to improve on it, go for it. But if you don't, at least get those minimum viable things done, because you don't want to like do all the fun stuff and then not, skip the hard stuff, and the hard stuff is actually a must-have, right? So you want to make sure that you're doing all of those things, and then you want to look at the prioritizing, and then you can actually eliminate some things if you don't like how long it's going to take you, right? Like if you're like, geez, it's going to take me 3 months to build this out, and I want to start generating revenue sooner than that, then you can start looking at the things that won't have at this time, or the could haves, and maybe make them a won't have at this time. Remember, the iPhone did it too, right? Apple did it with their iPhone. The very first iPhone, it came out, it didn't have a forward-facing camera, it didn't have flash, but they put it out there anyway, and they sold 1.3 million phones that year. And that was just in 6 months, right? Since then, they've sold 1.3 billion phones. And of course, it has all those features and everything now that nobody cared at the time that it didn't have that thing. And so that's what you want to think about with your offers and your things, is that you can create that minimum viable product, get it out there, start generating revenue, and that revenue will help you fund the rest of the build out of that project. You see what I'm saying? That is good project management right there. Then you get a return on investment. You can see that it's worth reinvesting in, and then you continue the process, right? And so getting back to our timelines, if you have now looked at, one is the urgency of this priority. How urgently do you need money? The other is, can you estimate and, itemize and estimate all the things that you need to do in your project to get it out the door, and then ensure that it fits into the number of hours that you work. That's why the Take Charge of Your Time freebie is really, really critical here, because, if you have 40 hours of work and you want to get it done in 2 weeks, but you only work 10 hours a week, that's not going to work, right? So you want to make sure that you're planning things out and you set a timeline, not a deadline. Okay. And then once you get there, then you can start mapping out that timeline and make it realistic. And then you can consider your urgency. Now, if you have something that's more urgent, you need money faster, you can definitely make an appointment with me. I can help you generate revenue quickly if that's what you need to do. But if you don't need to do that, and you can just take your time building out this foundational system, I would suggest that you don't make that any longer than a 3-month process to build it out the first time. And the reason why I say that is because right around 6 weeks, 8 weeks, you're going to get tired and fatigued, and you're going to start feeling discouraged if you aren't making any money. That's why the minimum viable product is so good, because it keeps you motivated. Like once you start generating some interest, some revenue, getting some feedback, getting testimonials, that kind of stuff, it's going to actually fuel your fire for the rest of that project. So think about that as you go through your systems and you start building out your offers, and make sure that you are putting as a top priority the revenue generating things if you need money urgently, and your foundational systems if you don't. That way you can balance that, right? So that you can bring in revenue to keep going, but you can get all those foundational systems in place that are going to help you manage your business with ease, right? Okay, so I hope that helps. So make sure that you're looking at realistic timelines to make those goals. And don't forget to sign up for my webinar. It is next week on Thursday, the 23rd at 10 a.m. And you can get that at thescrumshop.com/revenue goals. You can register for that there. Okay, all right, you guys. Take care and have a great rest of your week. Bye.